There's certain moments in life where things kind of come together or things kind of fall apart. But regardless of whether they're coming together or they're falling apart, we look back on those moments and they are a change. They are a moment where things happen in our life that are formational for years to come. This morning is Confirmation Sunday. And in some ways, to be completely honest, I don't know if any confirmation student fully understands the ramifications about what they're doing. How could they? None of them pay a mortgage. None of them have had to deal with the responsibilities of adulthood, and they shouldn't. They don't know the complexities that come from relationships like adults do. But Jesus still loves them. This morning, because they're not here, I'm going to talk all about them, but I'm also going to talk all about you, because we've all been there. We have faced these opportunities, we have gone through these trials and these successes, and we've done it with the support of other people. We've done it with a community around us. Now, at this point in their life, all of them are 7th graders. We all remember how easy 7th grade was, don't we? Right? Like all the kids at school are nice to all the other kids at school, right? That's how you remember it, right? No, because kids are never nice to other kids, are they? It doesn't matter if they're in 7th grade, if they're a sophomore in college, if they're 42 years old. Kids just aren't nice to other kids. And that's the way it goes. And so, as we grow up, we want to grow into something that we believe will help ingratiate us to other people. So when I was growing up, this is who I wanted to be. There it is. I know you're thinking, uncanny likeness, right? I would pose for you, but I don't like doing it in public anymore. This was the guy. This is the guy that made me get in trouble with my parents for offering to show my brother how to do a body slam off the top bunk. All right? This is the guy who got me in trouble over and over, but he was the guy that I believed would ingratiate me to other people. It was his persona. It was his character. It was the way everybody applauded for him that I believed. Well, I won't confess how long I believed this. Would ingratiate me, would bring me into a good place with other people. Because that is one of the most powerful forces in the lives of young people or older people. It stems from that I want to be seen in a positive light by other people. And some of that is because of the reaction that other people have on us, but some of that is also a reflection of the internal questions that go on in our hearts. Am I worthy? Who am I? Do I have a purpose in this life? Do I matter? And we see that reflected to us by others. So one thing you know about me is I picked a role model that really matters, right? Because all of you still know his name, don't you? Yes. Catherine, do you know his name? Yeah. Did you teach it to Maddie yet? All right. Well, we'll circle back, okay, Catherine? All right. So confirmation is that day where people, normal everyday Joes, have heroes, whether they're professional wrestlers with astounding physique, or whether they're the local teacher, whether it's the teacher in your classroom, or whether it's the neighbor down the street, or whether it's their uncle or their mom's best friend. We have these people that assume these roles in our lives. Confirmation is that opportunity to stand in a place that is safe and to contemplate, what does all of this Bible stuff have to do with me? How is all this Bible stuff going to do for me what different role models have done for me in the past? Because when you're embroiled in your life, when you have that drama surrounding you, when you have those relationships tugging on you, it's very hard to be super analytic and to step back in wisdom and say, oh, well, it all makes sense according to this Bible verse, which cross-references to this Old Testament prophecy, which makes everything very clear. No. We don't do that even as adults. What about 7th graders? You see, this hopefully for confirmation students, and this is the way we've designed our current program, it teaches us not maybe the important data, because very few of us are good at referencing that data when we need it, and it more powerfully focuses on the turning point, when God's story becomes my story. It teaches us the intersection of what does this Bible stuff have to do with me? It shows us how our greatest role model, astonishingly, isn't a professional wrestler, but a savior. Someone who has struggled and entered into our story. This, friends, is the story of Jesus, as he would have it told. It reflects for us the nature of the stories he tells us of himself as the Good Shepherd, or as he would desire us to be good Samaritans, or the plight of the prodigal son. He shows us the intersection where God's story becomes our story. He enters the struggle. Now, just so you know, at the 10:30 service, I'm going to ruin the lifelong secret that you and every adult have kept from the youth of our nation. Just so you know. You can tune in then. I'm not going to tell you now. That way you have to come back. Right, Darlene? You're okay with that? Darlene. All right. The secret is that all of these kids are asking for some very simple, basic things. With their words, with their actions, and with their role models, they're telling us that they want to know that others love me, respect me, and accept me. That's what they want. They want this in a very powerful way. And the secret is all of you, myself included, we have been able to convince them that we have arrived. That we have the answer to this and we are secure in that answer. We have convinced them that we don't go around searching to be reconvinced that we are loved, that we are accepted, and that we are respected. We have convinced them that when you become an adult, these questions don't plague you any longer. And this is a problem. Because I've seen all of you act socially, right? I've listened to your jokes. You still want to hear this. That you are loved. That you are respected and accepted. These are powerful statements in your life, and I would say they haven't diminished not one bit. Now, granted, we get really fancy as we get older, so we say words like, well, we want to be productive, and we want to be profitable, and we want to be noteworthy, right? Or we talk about the great women and the great men, and we make all of their aspirations seem to be noble. And we use these big adult-sounding words, but if we translate them as we do a kid's Bible, it really says that they're lovable, they're accepted, and they're respected, and I wish I was the same. So really we haven't progressed any further than we've regressed. We're still in the same spot, in the same reality, that we need God's story to intersect with our story. We need it, we want it, and it's here for you. Now, the beautiful part about God's story is that he initiates it. It's of his own will, it's of his volition to enter in your life and to say to you, without being provoked that he loves you, that he accepts you, and that he respects you as his creation, that he honors you so much that he would lay down his life for you. And this isn't something we have to ask for. This isn't something we have to request from him or work towards. It's something he gives us. And he does it all the time. Now, this move by God towards his creation, towards you and I as individuals, and together as the church, collectively as humanity, we would say, well, this is rather extreme. This grace of God's is extreme, that he would forgive me regardless of my depravity, that he would love me despite my actions and my words to the opposite. This is extreme. And by that very description, friends, we have shown God and we show each other, as much as we show ourselves, how far we have fallen. Because for God, his grace is ordinary. His love is normal. His grace is not extreme. It is right. And it is good. And it is forever. If we go without this, if we go without our story, having that moment where it meets his story, if his story fails to become the dominant paradigm of our life, if it doesn't bring us into his great story of salvation, what it leaves us with is not peace, but questions. And these type of questions are the ones that we've been asking our whole life, that for some reason we believe we'll be able to finally ascend to a point we won't ask these questions. But we will. And at the end of our lives, when we look back on our lives, we will still be wondering, am I enough? Am I lovable enough? Am I worthy enough? Am I accepted enough? Am I respected enough? And so the question just keeps sliding. Am I enough? Is it enough? Was I enough? And that question lingers there. Because there is no singular answer that we are willing to accept for that statement. Without the grace of God, we have only our resumes to lean on. And our resumes are hot and cold, good and bad. And so the question persists. And as we struggle with that question, am I enough? Was it enough? Was I trying hard enough? Then we will end ultimately with the best answer of, well, I tried. And you might be thinking, well, there's an answer. Yeah, that's a good answer. You tried. Good job. But without the grace of Jesus, the question persists. And the next iteration of the question is, did you try enough? Which once again has a very vague answer, and one we do not desire to have or accept. Because our story, whether we want to admit it or not, our conscience knows, is insufficient. And what we desperately needed was for our story to intersect with his story. Because once your story is pulled into his, there you find answers. There you understand the truth. Because only in Jesus will you hear clear, definitive, repeated answers every single time, no matter what. I love you. I respect you. I accept you. My story is your story. Friends, this is why John, in the very first chapter of his gospel, says that in Jesus we have received grace upon grace. Because it's repetitive. Because it's continual. Because there's even more when you thought the first helping of grace was too much. When you thought you might exhaust the first gift of grace, he assures you that it's just a continual giving, which gives you a continual promise that you are loved. Friends, this is confirmation. Confirmation in 3 words is grace upon grace. My prayer for you is, as you think back on your life, as you look back to your confirmation, as you look back to the big milestones in your life, my prayer is that you see your story intersecting with his story, and that you would hear from him the same message. You are loved. You are worthy. You are accepted. And he has grace upon grace upon grace for you.